Alrighty, hello everybody. This is the first Octane Master Course launch stream. So the Octane Master Course is 100% out and it is available right now. So if any of you guys are interested in checking it out, in the link in the description of this video you're watching right now, there is the link that you can click that will take you to the Octane Master Course store on my Gumroad page. So this is what you're going to see. You're going to basically, you could be at my profile, which has like a bunch of this stuff here, but this is some of the other products I sell, but this one right up here is the one that you're after. This is going to go ahead and give you access right through here is where you can purchase the Octane Master Course. So all you got to do is click this, and this will go ahead and bring you to this tab. Now I'm logged in, so I can't actually click it. I have to click that little button there, but this will bring you to this page here. Now again, the early bird pricing is in effect right now for the rest of the week. So I think we have all the way till Monday, this Monday on the 20th. So you have till August, or sorry, not the 20th, the 13th. You have till the 13th till this expires, which I have listed right here actually. Whoops. And this will give you $50 off the subscription price. Now, there's something more to this than is actually made apparent here. I'm not very good at marketing myself, I will admit that. So that's why I'm trying to do this stream, to kind of help explain any questions anybody has. I'm a little bit better at teaching than selling myself, so I have to learn about that. I have to get better. But what does this 50% off, what does this $50 off do more than just simply give you $50 off? Well, what it does is if you head to my website and go to the Octane Master Course right here, if you scroll way down to the very bottom, there is a little example here called early bird pricing. Now, what's so interesting is for the first launch week of the Octane Master Course, it will be priced at $50 off. This brings your first year membership down to $249, which is great, but what more does it do? This special pricing will be your base for the second and third year discounts. So if you purchase your first year at $250, you will only pay $124 for the second year and $62.25 for the third year and every year after. So this $50 off will continue to benefit you. This isn't just a benefit that happens this payment. This benefit will happen every payment. Now, the next question is, do I have to keep paying? What if I just want to pay once? You do not have to. This is the big thing. The Octane Master Course will be under a membership system through Gumroad. This means you don't have to worry. This is not a subscription. When you sign up for a year, you get access to all the current videos, scene files, materials, and the Discord group that I also have available through this course, and whatever is added during the 12 months your membership is active. Now, this is a big thing. Unlike a subscription, you get to keep access to all of that forever. If you don't decide to renew your membership, you simply don't get updates and new material that is produced. There are also a few channels in the Discord group that are only for active members, such as the support channel. But basically all this means is that you buy your membership. Right now, with the early bird discount, you pay $250. And for a whole year, you get all the stuff that's available in the course right now, plus updates. This includes updates to Octane version 4.0. And on top of that, this also includes live support in the Discord channel and any other updates that I happen to add to the course. So as an example, some of the updates that I have been adding, which you can check out here. If you go ahead and scroll to the very top of the page, you'll see status of the Octane Master Course. You can click this, and this will bring you to my Google Doc, where you can preview and look at right now. This gives you access to see every video that is planned to be made, which has been made, and some videos that I might not make. But of course, if you see a video in here that you want made, or if you don't see a video here you want made, you can direct this. In the Octane Master Course Discord channel, you can say, hey, I want you to make this, and that is what I'm going to do. So it's up to a public vote on what I make. I'm not simply only going to make what I want to make. It's like you guys are paying for a membership. So this simply means you pay for everything that you're getting now, plus, you're paying for a whole year where you can direct and expand that course to go beyond. So this isn't a simple product that you just buy and you're stuck with what you get. This is a product that's going to expand and grow through that entire year membership. Now, if you decide after a year, you pay $250 for this year, what do you do once that year is up and you don't want to resubscribe? And may I add too, auto subscription is turned off, means you're never going to be auto billed. You're going to be charged $250 right now. And then after that, you will never be charged again unless you specifically choose yourself the next year round after your membership has expired to go for a second year subscription. That is the only time you'll be charged again, is when you choose to be charged. I'm never going to have an auto billing system set up. that has been turned off. I have nothing that is not set to go at all. Now, also on top of this, we have again all of these videos that are planned for later. So I have beauty passes, render layer, lighting passes, info passes, material passes, more in-depth detail on all these passes. Now, a lot of this detail is already explained in the render passes area, where I talk about all of this, but I'm going to dive into each render layer area and go into even more detail on it if you guys want me to go this direction. So in the Discord group, if you want me to continue on this, let me know. Now, if these are videos you're like, I really don't feel like I need any more of this, I watched these 2 videos and had plenty of info on it, hold off on these, I will do that. We'll focus on other videos like subsurface scattering workflows, workflow options, different ways of doing that. Now, if you feel like that's not needed because I already covered 2 workflows with these 2 materials here in the course, maybe that's not what you're after. Do you want to learn how to bake textures with the Octane texture baker, the baking camera? Maybe we could watch a video about that. And of course, the biggest thing I have planned that I want to make right now is rendering X particles with Octane, using motion blur with the XP Skinner object, rendering X particle trails with Octane, giving themselves different colors. So you can actually render trails in Octane Render and have different trail colors, which is really cool. Rendering X particle smoke with Octane. This video is actually outdated. I'm not going to do this. There's a legit way. This was the old 3.0 X particles version hack. Now there's X particles 4.0. It's a legit VDB volume. I'm going to teach you how to render all of that. So this is actually outdated. I'm just going to change this one. Won't make outdated. And all this is going to update live for you. So you won't have to be in the dark. This course is completely transparent, completely open, completely up to you guys to decide whether you want to buy this course or not. Everything that this course has to offer and plans to offer in the immediate future is listed here. Now, this is constantly going to expand. This is not limited. This first year this is only a small sample of what's going to be added to it, because the entire Octane version 4.0 is going to be updated and add to this course when Octane version 4.0 for Octane, the Octane plugin, comes out. I'm going to completely update all of these videos and move on with that and add more and more content. There's also the node video section, so these are all the videos that have been added, and I will kind of give you a little taste of my naming scheme here just in case you're a little confused. Basically, purple means it's uploaded, it's shipped. This is in the course right now and you can watch right now. Now, black with later means it's going to be a video I'm going to record later. And that's about the only difference. Now, this one here won't make outdated is because this is a video that I'm probably not going to make because it is an outdated system. I don't think it's worth teaching. It's a method that I don't really think anybody was interested in. Again, though, you are able to change my mind at any time, though, because you are the customer. The customer is always right. You have control in the Discord channel in deciding what you want to do. Speaking of the Discord channel, let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit. This is the Octane Discord channel. Now, it's a little small right now, but this is going to grow and expand. Basically, when you join the Octane Master Course, you will have the option to join this Discord channel. Within this Discord channel, I have things such as tutorial vote, where there's a list of tutorials here that you can either vote up, yes, I would like to have this tutorial done. You can vote neither, I don't really care either way, or vote no, I don't want you spending time on this. So you have control, and this is only going to grow and expand more and more, so you'll have control in this Discord in saying what tutorials would you like to make. So for example, you could vote yes on I want you to do the bonus making a realistic potion tutorial. Now this is a much more advanced tutorial. This is where we take everything we've learned and we put it into a legit workflow, making a legit product like a potion, a realistic magic potion. Or maybe you're saying, no, I don't want that one. I want the earth, or you want a diamond texture or neon objects. You vote and direct where you want this to go. This is up to you. You got full control on this. Now, on top of all of this, again, in the Discord channel, you also get live support. So I have voice channels where you can talk to different friends and groups and stuff, or you can just hang out because it is going to be a community. So you can talk and share ideas with each other. But on top of that, if you're stuck on something, there's a technical support channel where you can first call me up here in the technical support text area. We can type in my name and say, hey, I'm having a problem. Then when I get a chance, I'm trying to get back to everybody as soon as possible. It's not 100% instant support, so I'm not always going to be at my computer 24/7, but I will always try and get back to you at least within bare minimum, at most time, 12 hours. And if you have a problem in here, to say, hey, at my name, we'll do at EpicJCreations, I have a problem. I'll get back to you on here, talk to you. We'll figure out when we can have a time to talk. I'll set up a time, and we'll hop into the one-on-one support channel down here, where literally I will be able to, this is a special one-on-one support channel, so you'll just have literally just me and you. We'll do one-on-one talks with anybody who's having trouble in the course. So you'll be able to get live help, and I'll help you figure out and work through any of the problems that you're having in the course and help you get that figured out. Now, on top of all of this, let's go ahead and take a look now at the actual buying process, because you might be a little confused on what is the purchase process? What is the workflow of buying this thing going to be like? So let's go ahead and start. You're going to be at my Gumroad store. You're going to select this, and this is going to take you to this page. You're going to see some information about the product. You're going to see this little link here, and if you click this link, it'll just take you to this Octane Master Course page right here. It'll give you more information about the product and what it'll have to offer you. And then if you keep going down, it explains more about the membership, a lot of stuff I've already talked about, the pricing situation, early bird pricing options, bulk pricing options. If you have any questions about bulk pricing, please feel free to contact me. I can get you all that kind of information there. This is an important piece. Note, if you want to access the Octane Master Course Discord channel for live support and access to a growing community that directs the creation of the new videos, please write yes in the Want to Join Discord server field. After that, I'll reply with the receipt email that you receive with a very special invite link. Now, make sure to check your spam folder, because the reply to that email sometimes can end up in your spam folder. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, say you want to buy it. Here's the process. You simply click subscribe, and you pay with whatever service you'd like. You can pay with PayPal, a Visa, credit card, any type of system you want. It will accept, and this is 100% secured. I've made many purchases through Gumroad. I've had a few people purchase through here, and they've been very happy. It's secured by Gumroad. This is a very safe and secured system. If you are unsure and uneasy about it, the safest, most secure system that you can go with that I recommend is PayPal, because PayPal will literally give you that buyer protection right out of the gate. So if for some reason something goes wrong and you don't get the course and they take your money, you are protected by PayPal. So if you're really insecure about that, you can definitely go ahead and use PayPal, and it's very, very safe. But what is the process going to be? First off, you'll see you'll be charged $249 yearly for the next 12 months. All this means is you're going to be charged $249, and your membership is going to last for 12 months. After 12 months is up, your membership will end. You will not be charged anything else. There is no auto charge. You're not going to buy another year's membership at all. That is not how it works. You simply will have your membership end. Now, when your membership ends, don't worry. The Octane Master Course will still exist in your products folder. It is still going to be there in your Gumroad portfolio, your magazine there, where you have all your Gumroad products that you purchased. It'll still be there. You'll still be able to click on it. You'll still be able to watch all the 90 videos, which add up to over 30 hours of training, plus way more. At that point, by the time your membership expires, if you buy now, I mean, we're already going to have the Octane version 4 stuff out, the X particle stuff. We're going to be well over 100 videos with, quite honestly, over 40 hours of training very easily at the end of this year, because I am very dedicated to this course. I've spent over a year of my life dedicated to putting this up, and I am not bailing on it. This course is my life at this point, and I am putting every ounce of energy I have into making it work. So you don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to be bailing on you guys. But anyway, after it expires, your course will still exist. Say you don't want to renew, that's okay. Everything that you've earned within that year, you will keep. Nothing will be lost. It'll still exist. Now, what's really cool with Gumroad is once you buy the course, all the videos are a live folder that I can upgrade. So let me give you a little taste of behind the scenes on here. If I go to my products page right here and I go to the Octane Master Course, right now I have 4 subscribers, so I'm doing a little good. It's a little slow start, but I'm pretty happy with it. This is the edit page. This is where I edit the course and make changes. This is a list of all the videos I have in the course right now. What's nice is this is a live drive. Imagine you have a live connection to this course. At any time, I can go through and change the name. Here's the asset files. I can remove this asset file and reload a new one. This will automatically update in your drive. When you go ahead and say, scrolling through your list, oh, I want to watch the introduction video, I can make a change to the introduction video, update it, and it will instantly update and be live for you. You'll instantly have those changes available for you guys. So if I change this introduction video and say upload a different video, that'll automatically be in your folder. So when you go ahead and check out and click into the course and you're like, oh, the introduction video looks like it's a little different. You click play on it, instantly you'll have the most up-to-date version. So throughout the next year of your membership, this entire portfolio of videos, and may I point out there's a lot of them, there's 90 of them here at the moment, and all of them will constantly be updated. You don't have to do anything or worry about anything. When you go ahead and say, oh, I'm going to learn about the camera. I'm in the camera topic here. I want to watch this camera overview video. You will always be watching the most up-to-date video as long as your membership is active. Now, as soon as your membership expires, you will lose access to updates, but you will always keep the old one. So say a year from now, your membership is expired. You're like, oh, look, the camera overview video. I'd like to watch that. You're going to watch it, and it may not be the most up-to-date video, but you'll have at least the most up-to-date video within the time that your membership is expired. So you'll always keep this information. You'll still have the ability to watch and learn from all this, because quite honestly, I don't expect people to be able to learn all of this in 1 year. Like, this is a lot of content right now. It's taken me well over a year just to make it. So learning all this can take some time. Like, I totally understand that. And you will not be forced to have all this down and memorize within a year and then lose it all. No, no, no. You keep this forever. Learn at your own pace. Just realize as you're going through and learning throughout this whole year, you're going to be getting updates. I'm going to keep you in the know. I'm going to keep all these videos updated to the latest version of Octane, so your training and your knowledge is the most up-to-date info that you have available. And for the next year, if you would like to upgrade the year later, when your membership does expire and you want to keep getting these updates, you're going to get it for 50% off. And that's another thing I want to point out, is my pricing system does not keep going at this $300 or even with the early bird $249 a year. The cost is normally $300, but the second year membership, because quite honestly, the second year you're not going to really want to pay as much. I mean, you already have most of the videos. You're just paying for updates at this point. In new videos, you're not going to be getting as much. So I'm not going to charge you as much. I don't feel like it's worth paying $300 2 years in a row. So that's why I give you a 50% discount. That means for the second year, you'll be paying $149. And for the third year, I give you a 75% discount off the $300, which would charge you $74.75. So that will be a lot cheaper. Looking forward to this master course, brother. Says, I'm sorry if I get your name wrong. Bidapon. I'm very sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. So glad that you are looking forward to this master course, man. I'm really happy that you're excited for it. It is out right now. So if you are interested in purchasing it, you can actually get it by clicking the link in the description of the video that you're watching right now, and it'll take you right to this page where you can make that purchase. And also, we're doing a $50 off early bird pricing right now, so you can go ahead and get access to it. Literally right now you'll get access to 90 videos and over 30 hours of training immediately. Plus you'll get access to the Octane Discord channel, where you can get live support from me if you're having any trouble, and you can help shape and expand the course for the future videos that are going to come within this yearly update. And I'm planning a lot of videos, an entire update in the whole Octane version 4 that's about to come out very soon, I think within the next few months. Not to mention, I'll be talking and teaching a little bit about the Octane blockchain when it comes out for the new render system, which is going to be freaking amazing. I feel like Octane is really about to start taking the market by storm with Octane version 0.0 and its render blockchain, and I want to ride the front of that teaching platform. So as Octane takes off, my goal is I want to basically sit and ride with their success and help teach and share Octane. So as Octane becomes more and more powerful, I want to help teach people and show them how useful it can be, and kind of help expand on the training system, which I quite honestly feel like Octane has been lacking on. It's not had too much info available out there so far for kind of like teaching people and showing them how to use Octane. So I really wanted to kind of help bring this course out, because I really felt that there was a need for some good solid training videos. And let me just say too that this course is not just for people who are just starting out. There is so much advanced techniques in this course. Just under this, the nodes area alone is meant for all skill levels. This is simply information on all these nodes and detailed information. All these videos are big and they are long. The displacement node itself is like 3.5 gigs in size. Now don't worry, all the videos are going to be a stream-only system, so you don't have to worry about downloading them. You just stream them. And of course, when your membership ends, you still can stream them. You will always have access to stream these videos. You will never lose them. Always will have access. You will have access to streaming the most up-to-date versions of those videos, but you will always have access to streaming them. And under the advanced techniques, we have a lot. We have 16 videos in that line just alone. And this includes using Octane Scatter, using CSV files to open Octane Scatter, and many, many more. Now, I have been dragging this out for a little now, so I do want to go ahead and give you guys a special bonus that's going to be available in this video. The stream you're watching right now is I'm going to give you guys a free sample of one of the tutorials right now. In the video, I'm thinking of giving you guys a free sample from, I think should be the gradient node. The gradient node's pretty cool. Turbulence node's pretty neat. What's a video I could share with you guys right now? Let's see. You know, a great node that I love is the Gaussian node. It's kind of underrated for its potential. And it's like a simpler node, but at the same time, it's so powerful in so many different areas. And I feel like a lot of people don't use it because it's kind of confusing. And I really feel like I did a good job explaining it. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to give you guys the Gaussian Spectrum node as one of the free videos during this stream. So to do this, let's go ahead and talk about buying the course. What you're going to do is you're going to click subscribe when you go to the page right here. And you can also click through and you can watch some videos on it. So here is the
Hello and welcome to the Octane Master.
This is a video of the Octane Master course, kind of like an introduction video. I'm sure you guys have seen this already. If you haven't, you can go ahead and literally head to the buy page right now and click over and watch the video right there, or you can go over and watch this video here, which is kind of a video that talks about why you should buy Octane Render. So it's a pretty nice video. But to go ahead and start our purchase, let's go ahead and click subscribe. What you're going to go ahead and do then is you're going to type in your email. And after you've done that, you're going to be asked a question right here that you have to fill out. Want to join the Discord server. This is something that I require. You need to say either yes or no. So if you would like to join the Discord server, simply type yes. If you would not like to join it and not get an invite code to join it, simply click no. If you ever change your mind and would like to join the Octane Discord server, simply email me. Reply to the receipt that you will receive in your email. When you purchase Octane Render, you will receive a receipt, and that receipt contains access to joining. So here is a little sample of what's going to happen. I'm going to type yes, I would like to join it. I've now filled out the field. I filled out my payment information. This is just a test card for me. I'm not doing a real purchase. But for you, it'll look similar to this. And you're just going to click pay and subscribe. It'll be instantly, you'll be brought to this. You'll be like, Octane Master Course, I've now been charged. And it says you will receive updates over email too. So any updates I do to the course or anything like that, because any changes I make to this course, if I update any of these videos or add different names or titles to them or just do any updates at all, I will send out an email to everybody who has the course purchased listing those updates and changes, because I want to make sure you're aware when I start changing stuff and you're just not scrubbing through and being like, oh dang, when did those 5 new videos get here? I didn't even know we had them. There's so much content here. I didn't even know that there was 3 more videos dumped into the node section. So I'm going to make sure I have an update email that goes out at least once a week that has, I'm not going to spam you guys with it though. I'm going to try and keep it condensed. I'm not going to like launch a new video every day and spam you with a new email every day. If I'm planning like 3 new videos a week, I'll condense the launch down to like 1 day a week hopefully, and put that out in a bulk email so I'm not spamming you guys too much. And it'll give you access to those updates and let you know when they're available. But on top of this, now that we have this done, we can view product, or you can go to your product library. It'll be in your library, your Gumroad library. And let's just go ahead. For me, I'm just going to do view product. And now that I'm here, it's going to go ahead, once it loads in, we're going to be able to see the entire Octane Master course in the little dashboard here. So this is what's going to look like for you. We're going to have access to these asset files that we can download, which is not necessary. You don't have to download them if you don't want to, but if you do, it gives you a bunch of these videos that you can go ahead and basically a bunch of these files where you can follow along in some of these videos. Now you don't have to have asset files for every video. There's only a certain few. But when you do have to have asset files, it will actually say, and it'll say the directory within that asset file folder, what you have to open up. So you don't have to worry. If you ever see a video where it says you need asset files to follow along and what that directory is, these are the guys you're after, this right here. Now, for navigating the course, literally all you have to do is I do want to kind of mention the navigation process for the course. The very top, again, is our asset files that you can download. Over here, this little area where we have a bunch of lines and then 01 overview, this represents a course section. This is the overview section. Every video within this section is part of the overview section. So we have overview introduction 1, then we have video 2, video 3, video 4, all the way up to 12 in the overview section. Then, next up is the lighting section. This is 02. Everything within here is part of the lighting section. So we start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, all up to 8. Then we have materials, goes all the way up to 9. The camera goes to 4, just a few videos in this area. The nodes, a lot of node videos. This goes all the way up to 40. And then the advanced techniques goes up to 16 videos. Now, within each section field, for example, we have the overview section. I can click read. If I click this, this is a PDF file that gives me information on the videos within this section. Now I can go ahead and click this little A up here, Appearance, and click this big A to zoom in on this so we can kind of read this at leisure. And for overview, we have video 1. Now for video 1, this is the camera overview. In this section, I cover the camera tag and different options there. Now these PDFs need updated. I don't have them completely set up yet. We are in a beta kind of early bird phase for the course, so I still need to go through the PDFs and get everything linked up. But I do actually need to get this this overview area linked up. This has not been updated yet. I need to go through this PDF and update a newer PDF version. Once I get that done, though, this will match. So basically, you'll just have the overview, what this overview talks about, and each video will be listed here in a description of that video and different links to part of the video, such as at this time in the video I talk about f-stop, this time I talk about aperture, etc., etc. And I also have links. So for this part of the video 13, where we talk about the camera imager, here's a link to an area where you can buy free lookup tables, where you can get free lookup tables so you can kind of follow along. So if any time in the video I reference you to check out this site here, you can always check that video in the PDF file here, which will give you access to it. But enough talk about navigating the course. Let's go ahead and finish up with the final last piece is how do we watch a video? So I'm going to go ahead and click this back arrow. It's going to load up to the rest of the videos. And now as we're going through, I'm going to say, okay, I want to learn about a node. So let's go say we're looking to learn about the Gaussian node, right? We scrub through. We see, okay, materials. We can close camera, nodes. Okay, nodes. So now we're going to look through where is in this node the Gaussian spectrum. And the Gaussian spectrum is this video right here. Now I want to kind of point out here, you may have noticed that these videos here are actually organized in order that they're shown in Octane Render in Cinema 4D. So if I go ahead and hop into the node videos area here, you may notice that this little tab here in my little Google Docs, it's available for everybody to check out, is in order exactly the same as how it's presented in Cinema 4D and Octane. So when you open up the node editor and you're looking at your nodes, this is how they're ordered. You have materials, textures, other generators, etc. So if you're in Cinema 4D and you're like, okay, I'm under here and I'm seeing textures and I'm looking Gaussian spectrum. I know that Gaussian spectrum is underneath the RGB image texture, etc., area. So if I go ahead and check the course out, you'll notice that the Gaussian spectrum is right underneath the image texture, just as it is within Cinema 4D. So we have Gaussian spectrum, RGB spectrum, image texture. They may be a little disorganized, but they're in general about the same position. I might need to actually change the naming. But again, this course is in a little bit of a beta, so some things aren't perfectly lined up. But anyway, we have Gaussian spectrum node, and we're going to go ahead and click Watch. When we do that, it's going to load in the page here, and what's really cool is right now I have so many videos, they are being transcoded a little bit. That means they're slowly being kind of buffered in to be coded up to run smoother. This doesn't mean you can't watch the video though. Simply click the X up here, and the video is ready to play. The videos are always available to watch right after I upload. It just sometimes they're being transcoded still to be kind of updated to run smoother. Once you've done that though, you simply click play.
Hello everybody, and
lo and behold, there's the video. So what you're going to do is you can scroll up and down, you notice. You got like this kind of window. What you want to do is scroll down and then click the little full screen button, and that'll get you set up for full screen, so you don't have to worry about that. And then, of course, you can choose your resolution. I'm going to set this to auto so you guys can see in the full resolution version. And I have the audio set to play through.
Back.
And you can hear me talking already. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to let you guys watch through this video. This is a free little sample. I'm going to let you watch through the whole Gaussian spectrum video right now as a free sample from this course. So let's go ahead and I'm going to let this play.
Hello everybody, and
I'm going to go ahead and mute myself so you don't hear me talking in the background, and here we go.
Hello everybody and welcome back. In this video we're going to be learning about the Gaussian Spectrum node inside Cinema 4D and Octane Render. Now, as per usual, before we begin, I just want to talk very lightly about the scene setup I have here. I'm using an infinite floor object as my floor, a sphere as my object with its segment set to 60, and an Octane daylight object with a torpidity of 3 and a sun size of 30 to light my scene, along with my kernel set to path tracing. We're also underneath the Octane node editor layout, and I've created an Octane diffuse material default and just slapped it on my sphere right here. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop over to our Octane node editor, and let's begin by talking about how do we create the Gaussian Spectrum node. Well, there's one of 3 ways you can do this. The first way is we just go up to our list here by holding down the middle mouse button and pulling up and down until we find our Gaussian spectrum here, which is underneath the Textures panel. Let's go ahead and take this Gaussian spectrum and pull him out. Now, the second way that we can create him is by right-clicking, going to Texture, going to Gaussian Spectrum, or finally the third way is searching G-A-U-S, Gaussian. There you go. Gaussian is in the list. Middle mouse button to pull up and down if it bugs out. So we can middle mouse, pull down to get it from bugging out and pull down if it gets stuck up here. And we can just go ahead and pull him out from the list as well. Let's go ahead and remove him from the search and remove these 2 from the search as well. I'm going to press delete to remove those, not backspace. Go ahead and press render to start up your render, and I accidentally deleted my Octane Sky, so I'm just going to undo that. There we go. Our Octane Sky is now back, and it is alive. So now that we have everything set up and we are good to go, let's go ahead and begin by first talking about what is the Gaussian spectrum. Well, to really make it apparent about what it does, let's just go ahead and take it and plug it into our diffuse port on our diffuse material. Now, the Gaussian spectrum is very similar to the Rgb spectrum, which is something we learned about in a previous video. Now, if you skipped it, I will lightly mention that the Rgb spectrum is simply a red, green, or blue RGB node that you can use to create a color. So it's simply a color node that you can make any color you would like and then pump that into any one of these ports. For example, we can make a nice green color with the Rgb spectrum. The Gaussian spectrum does the exact same thing, except it does it a little bit differently. If we select our Gaussian spectrum, you'll notice instead of looking at hue, saturation, vibrance, or an RGB color palette, we are looking at something very, very different. We're looking at wavelength, width, and power. Now, this is something you're probably not very familiar with. So to help describe what's going on here, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a web page made by this guy named Infrathrill's Design. This guy is incredible. He has some incredible stuff. Highly recommend checking him out. It's just infothrill.com. You can see this is his website up here. Highly recommend checking him out. He's a super big helper in learning about Octane, and really recommend giving this guy's stuff a look because he is a really great resource to keep in mind. But the reason I'm referring you to this page is because if we scroll down this list to this spot right here, he has this beautiful diagram that shows the difference in wavelength and frequencies in something called a visible spectrum. Now, to really understand what this visible spectrum is, I need to first mention that Octane Render is a spectral render engine. This means it is extremely realistic because the light we see in real life is spectral rays. So Octane is copying that same design. It's based on the same principles of real life. This is really important because it means Octane has extremely realistic looking renders. Now, there is a drawback to this. Instead of like other render engines and other typical color palettes you're probably used to working to, where you got just red, green, or blue, and you just kind of mix between the hue, saturation, and vibrance of those, Octane doesn't do that by default. By default, it runs under this spectral system here, the spectral rays. Now, the spectral ray system, like in real life, is not based off of red, green, or blue, but it's based off of a wavelength of the actual light spectrum. Now, in life, we have a ton of different visible wavelengths in spectrums, and some of which are not visible. For example, we have IR here, which is a higher wavelength, and this is called infrared. This is infrared light that we cannot see with our bare eyes. reversely, if we go down in our spectrum, we have UV light, which is actually tighter, closer wavelengths. And this is light. This is called ultraviolet rays. And these rays are also incapable to be seen by the human eye. And then we have, of course, X-rays. And then we have at the very bottom, we have just plain rays. Now, what's interesting, though, is between UV and infrared rays, we have the visible spectrum of light. What's very interesting here is this small little area of this entire frequency of the light spectrum is actually our entire red, green, and blue rainbow effect. So this little spot right here is our entire visible spectrum of light. Now, towards the top of our spectrum in this tiny little segment, we have the 700 wavelength area, and this is where we have red light. Now, if we go all the way down, we're going to come into orange, yellow, green, light blue, darker blue, and then finally end with purple. So this is how the entire spectrum of light and colors that we see around us in our day-to-day experience is what it is made out of. Now, of course, if all these light rays are combined together in one gigantic ray of light, they are basically pure white light. That's what regular sunlight looks like. Now that we understand this, let's go ahead and talk about how does this correspond to Octane's Gaussian spectrum node. Since this node is running under that exact same principle, we can determine our wavelength determines where are we searching in the spectrum. Because remember, a different wavelength determines a different color, right? Up here in the 700 wavelength zone, we have red, but down here in the 400 wavelength zone, we have purple. Now, it's very important to note that the range is actually, for visible light that we can see, is actually 380 to 720 nanometers. That's what it's measured in. It's something called a nanometer. I'm not exactly sure how big that is, but just take my word for it. That's what these numbers are referring to. Now, Octane, on the other hand, is using a 0:1 ratio to express these distances. So just realize when Octane has 1 punched in, that's equal to 700 nanometers, and when it has 0 punched in, that's equal to 380 nanometers. That can be a little complicated, but don't really worry about that. All you're going to be really doing is just pulling sliders until things look good. That's about what I do anyway. So now that we understand this, let's go ahead and talk about this width slot. So now that we know that wavelength is associated with where are we looking in the spectrum, just try and view wavelength as basically your hue, which color. Then width is determining saturation, how bright or how focused do we want to be on that color. And finally, power is representative of power, brightness, or lightness to that image. So if I were to adjust my wavelength slider, I'm going to pick where in the spectrum I would like to have color. So let's just go ahead and say right now we want to have like a kind of blue color, right, towards the bottom of the spectrum. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this slider down, my wavelength, until we get a nice blue color. And lo and behold, here it is, a blue color is showing up. Next up, I want to intensify this blue color. So now we're down in this spectrum. If I take my width and increase that, that's our saturation value, kinda, we're going to increase the width of it. How wide of a spectrum are we going to be looking through? If I crank this all the way up to 1, we are always going to get pure white. That's because when all the colors of the rainbow are incorporated into 1, we basically get pure white light. It's only when we separate them off through like a refraction process or through like a prism can we see each individual colored ray. So if I were to pull this width down so we could focus on just those blue aspects of that ray, we're going to pull it down tighter and tighter. And now that we have a small enough width, we are now getting a very intense and pretty blue color. Now, it's very important to be aware that this is not how you'd normally think when it comes to adjusting this as a saturation slider, because normally higher saturation would mean more color, but it's actually the opposite. We're going to just pure white where we lose all that color. So we want to definitely pull this down to a much tighter spectrum to give us that high color. So don't view it exactly as hue, saturation, and lightness. Just kind of use this as like some guidelines. This is not 100% scientifically correct, but just kind of, it's a good kind of base point to view it as. So now that we understand that, and we kind of know what the width does, let's go ahead and finally finish up with power, which again is simply lightness, right? This is just determines the brightness of our image. So if I go ahead and turn this down, we lose all the intensity of that light till eventually we lose everything. It just goes to pure black. And if I pull it all the way up to 1, then it's basically the pure whatever color we happen to pick. Now, we're getting to the part of this course where you're going to be wanting to ask the question, why the heck would we use the Gaussian spectrum? I just want to go ahead and pick whatever color I want. Say I plug this in here. I just want to have it look green, or I want to have it look yellow or red or blue. Why do I need to go through this way? This is so counterintuitive. Why would I go around picking my colors that way? This is a very good question, and there's one very good, very big answer for that. In most cases, you are not going to need to use the Gaussian spectrum, and I don't recommend using the Gaussian spectrum. In almost every case, the Rgb spectrum is just a whole lot easier and faster. There is some very specific cases, though, when the Gaussian spectrum is going to be quite, in fact, 100% required to do some certain effects correctly, such as using the Gaussian spectrum versus the Rgb spectrum to change the color of lights that you're emitting from the surface of an object. Now, to make this very clear, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the middle mouse button. I'm going to move my palette up here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull out something called a texture emission node. That's underneath the emission tab right here. I'm just going to pull this out. Now, we haven't talked about texture emission nodes yet, so if you don't know what's going on here, that's okay. All we need to focus on is that there is a power slider in here. This simply determines the brightness of our light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this texture emission node and I'm going to plug it into the emission slot of our diffuse material. When I do this, it'll allow my sphere here that has this texture on it to emit light just like any other light you would put into Octane. So it's now a 100% fully realistic, visible light in my scene right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Gaussian spectrum right here, and I'm going to plug it in to my texture slot. This will change the color of my light to emit the color that my Gaussian spectrum is set to. And you can see we're emitting blue light into our scene right now. You're probably thinking, oh, okay, that's pretty great. Couldn't I just use the Rgb spectrum for this? And the answer is yes, you could. So let's go ahead and plug that in. There is some drawbacks, though. Let's go ahead and set our Rgb spectrum to something like pure red. And we're going to crank every value up to as high as we can. Now, most programs like Octane Render don't like 100% pure values. They don't like 100% pure red because that can have some issues and glitches that can happen. For example, right now everything looks fine. But as I take my power and start to crank it up, look and see what's starting to happen right here. We are getting purple light mixed into our red light. This is because the Rgb spectrum is running under a red, green, and blue algorithm. Now remember how we are talking about Octane is a spectral render engine, right? It runs under a spectral system of light and color, just like we were viewing in this diagram. That means every form of color in Octane runs under that spectrum. That means this Rgb spectrum, even though it's running under a red, green, and blue system, must be converted over to that Gaussian spectrum system before it can show up in your render. So this gives you the controls and the tools to adjust your colors in an Rgb type system, but it is not going to be outputted that way. It's going to be outputted as a Gaussian spectrum, so it must be converted. Now, sadly, the conversion process between an Rgb spectrum and a Gaussian spectrum is not perfect. There's going to be a few errors and mix-ups. It's not always going to give you that correct color. And in this case, you can see it's giving us a little bit of a purple tint. So there's a few purple highlights that are kind of showing up in this Gaussian spectrum that are showing up in our render here. Now, just to really make sure and kind of really hammer this home that this is coming from our Rgb spectrum, I'm going to turn off my Octane daylight object because Octane is very realistic. It mixes colors together, even colors of light. So the light we're getting from our sky is going to affect the light that we're getting on our ground from the sphere here. So let's go ahead and turn off our daylight object, and lo and behold, it did affect and change that color there. This said, though, you can see we're getting a very strange effect on our sphere here. We're getting purple and yellow showing up. Again, this is because of those imperfections and variations from that calculation between the Rgb spectrum and to the Gaussian spectrum running through this texture emission node. Now, I'm going to go ahead and turn on surface brightness. I'm not going to talk too much about what this does. Just be aware it can make your lighting more even and a little bit more brighter. So when I turn that on, we're going to be learning about him more later underneath the texture emission node. But now that I have turned that on, you can see that we are definitely getting a purplish yellow tint on our sphere here. And even as I create a render region and try and render this out, It's just not happening, right? This is not being fixed. This is imperfections in our lighting that just kind of happen to be forced to be shown out. So, can we fix this with the Gaussian spectrum node? That is the big question. The answer is yes, we can. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's go ahead and take our Gaussian spectrum, plug it into the texture slot, and now we're getting blue light because that's what we set it to. Let's go ahead and move over to our handy little palette here and go ahead and figure what color we're after. What I want is a red light. So we're talking at the higher 700 nanometer spectrum of the scale here, and that is going to be running under a value more close to 1, right? The opposite end of blue. So let's go ahead and grab our wavelength and pull this up to something kind of big, like say 0.8, right? That should be pretty high up there. Now that we've done that, now we need to dial in the intensity, the depth of our rays, the width of our rays, right? How far are we going to search in this box? Are we going to make it a very wide search where we're going to incorporate a lot of different wavelengths, or very tight and only very certain wavelengths? Let's go ahead and do that now. Let's bring our wavelength even smaller, and as we get down all the way to 0.02, we finally are getting our pure red light. Now, in this particular case, he is actually recommending in this video a wavelength of 0.75 and a width of 0.015. So we could go ahead and type that in. We'll just say a wavelength of 0.75 and a width of 0.015. And that gives us this pure red like he shows in this image right here. Now, what's so great about this is we can take our texture emission and we can pull this down and we can crank it up, and no matter what, we're always going to keep that red color. Whereas if we plugged our RGB spectrum into this slot here, we keep our red color when our light is somewhat dark, but as we crank its brightness up, you can see what's happening here. We lose that effect entirely, and we start getting like this yellow hue in here and this purple hue, and it just is not being calculated right. So it's very important to stick with that Gaussian spectrum, especially if you're trying to adjust the colors of your lights, especially on mesh objects. Now, this said, if we're going to use it on a diffuse material, let's go ahead and turn our sky back on. It doesn't really matter. Whether you plug your Gaussian spectrum in here for your red, or you plug in your RGB spectrum in here, you can get about the same colors, and it's just a whole lot easier using your RGB spectrum to adjust your colors that way, instead of having to work with this Gaussian spectrum. So in most cases, you will be sticking with this RGB spectrum, but specifically if you're working with your texture emission node and using that to create light, you definitely want to run a Gaussian spectrum under here. Now I want to point out, notice this heavy purple I'm getting on the edge here. This again is because we are mixing the light from this sphere here with our Octane sky. What's so powerful about this Gaussian spectrum, unlike the RGB spectrum, right? Instead of being stuck with that, what we can do is we can incorporate some more rays into our scene to help offset that purple color. Now, what's very interesting is because we're up towards the high end of this spectrum, what Octane does, and this is not what happens in real life, as you go past 700, you basically lose what the human eye can see. But in Octane, as you go past 700, it actually loops back around and pulls in some of these colors. So as I go too high on this spectrum, we're going to be incorporating in some of that purple color. So what we can do is we need to pull away the height of our spectrum and pull away some of that color from the purple, which would mean to induce a little bit more of this yellow or orange color. So to do this, all I have to do is hop into my Gaussian spectrum and lower my wavelength, bring myself lower on that board. Let's go ahead and back away from the red, which is clipping over into the purple, looping back around, and bring us down something a little lower. Let's go ahead and try a value of something like 0.6. Now 0.6 has definitely got rid of that purple color, but now we're too far yellow. So let's go ahead and up ourselves, maybe 0.65. 0.65 is kind of close, but still giving us that same issue. 0.68. And 0.68 is showing up a little red. Let's go ahead and up this maybe to 0.7 on the dot. And at 0.7 on the dot, we are incorporating a much more reddish color, but a little bit of purple. So let's go ahead and lower him to something like 0.69. Now, at 0.69, we are just barely touching into that yellow. Let's try 0.695. And at 0.695, we are close. 0.69, say 8. 0.698. We're still getting a little too much purple. Let's go 0.695, back down again. That's killing off the purple. At this point, it's something that I'm pretty happy with, especially with the mix of that light there. So I really just want to point out how the Gaussian spectrum allows us to pull away from that purplish color that was showing up, and much more easily change the lighting of our scene. So being aware of this workflow is very important, especially when you're working with lights here. If we were trying to do this with the RGB spectrum, it would be a nightmare. We'd be trying to pull away from it, and we're blowing out our yellows here. It's just getting way too bright. It's just not going to mix very well. So you're definitely better off working with that Gaussian spectrum, because you're going to lose that red instantly, and you're not going to be able to get rid of that purple, as you can see here. Just too many issues arise from that. So again, highly recommend keeping with the Gaussian spectrum, especially in this case here. But at this point, this video is done. Thank you so much for watching. I am going to finish up with a very, very light recap of what we just learned, and then I will end the video. But in this video, we learned how to create something called the Gaussian spectrum. We learned that the Gaussian spectrum is very similar to the RGB spectrum in that it's used to create color inputs to our materials and other nodes, except we learned that instead of the RGB spectrum, unlike the RGB spectrum, where you would run underneath a hue, saturation, and vibrance RGB system, we're going to run under a Gaussian spectral system, which is underneath the spectrum system, which is how real life is calculated, and it's exactly how Octane calculates life as well, because Octane is a spectral render engine. We learned that this doesn't really mean anything if you're going to be pumping anything into diffuse colors, or basically any other color parameter, and we learned that you can go ahead and use that RGB spectrum as much as you want without any issues. We did learn, though, that there was a certain few cases, like plugging in our RGB spectrum into our texture emission node to make light on our diffuse material. We learned that this can have issues and errors show up, like with bright red colors and stuff, when you crank your light so high that the calculation conversion between an RGB node to the Gaussian spectrum, like you have to do because Octane only calculates Gaussian spectrum colors in that wavelength, like we learned about over here, was something that can give errors. There's errors between calculating between him, and then going into here. So the moral of this whole talk is get rid of the middleman. Get rid of this guy up here. Go straight to him, the source of the color, and pump it into the texture emission, and then you can control that color, control what part of that spectrum you're going to get instead of having those errors in that calculation, and make it so you can get that pure red color that you're after, even in this bright sunlight. So with the light off, we're getting our nice pure red, and even with that light mixing on, we can still kind of help fight that color change and keep that pure red going for us. Again, thank you so much. I really hope you found this video helpful. I know the Gaussian spectrum node was a very overwhelming thing to learn. It was for me too when I first tried learning about it. So I thank you so much again for watching. Again, I hope you found this helpful, and I cannot wait to see you all in the next video.
Alrighty, everybody, that video is over. We've watched through it. I hope you guys enjoyed that free video. This stream is recorded, so you can always scrub back through and rewatch everything you just saw. So you're not limited to only seeing it live right now. So share it to your friends. Feel free, anything like that. Feel free to share it. And may I just say, Bitapon, sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. Thank you so much for donating 100 euros. I really, really appreciate that. That was super nice of you. At least I think that's euros. I might be incorrect on that. Very sorry. But if you ever would like to have, the Octane Master Course is going through the big discount right now, which is great. That big discount's going on. I'm getting all my tabs mixed up. Let's see, what are we on? Close this one. Yeah, let's go back to this one. I'll go back through purchase flow. We'll go to the product overview. We're doing, again, that $50 off early bird discount of the course. But for you, Bitapon, I will give you that discount whenever. So whenever you're ready to buy, there's no rush. Whenever you are ready to make the purchase, let me know, and I will give you this $50 off coupon. So you don't have to buy right now if you don't want to. I know financially sometimes it's tricky knowing when to be able to buy stuff. So for you, this is always available. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your support and your kind words. So I want to give back a little bit. So this discount will always be available to you. So again, just let me know whenever, anytime, and I'll have that open for you. So if anybody has any questions about the Octane Master Course, or actually what I want to share with you guys is when you make your purchase, what happens to me? Well, the test purchase that I did, this is what's going to happen. In my email right here, this is what I got. It says, you've gotten a new subscriber to the Octane Master Course. And it says, okay, you've made this much to your Gumroad page. That's great. And this is the email. And then this is the answer. Want to join the Discord server? They said yes, because that's because it was my test purchase. So now what happens? For you, you're going to get an email just like this if you bought the course. And it's going to say you bought, and this is what you said. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reply to the email, and I'm going to paste their Discord server link. So I'll say something like, hello, thank you for your purchase. And I do spell things a little incorrectly, so I have my Grammarly right there. And then I'll say, here is your Discord code. And then I will say something like the code. And now I'm just going to type code, but I will literally paste in the code. You'll click that code, and that'll bring you to the Discord group and give you access to it immediately. Now, the code does expire in 24 hours, and it's good for only one use. So if you do not get the code, reply to this email and ask for help. So then I'll literally say, oh, and I spelled Discord. Here's your Discord code. And hello. There we go. That's spelled more correctly, and I will send this. So you will get a reply to this email with your code down here. If it doesn't come, you yourself can click reply and say, hey, I'm having trouble. This isn't working. Now, check your spam folder. If your email does not come in, check the spam folder. Always highly, highly recommend checking your spam folder. And if that doesn't happen, and you still don't see the email on there, contact me. Let me know that you did not get it. You can't find the email. Your email never came in. On my website, right here, you can go to the Contact Me page, Contact Me, and you can contact me. Let me know if you're having trouble. Let me know if that email didn't come through. Let me know if it's not showing up in your spam folder. Let me know if you're having trouble, and I'll figure it out. I can check your purchase. If something went wrong, I can manage all of that. I can see if your purchase went through. I can see whose name was used, etc., etc. I'll give you the link to that Discord server. So let me know if you're having any trouble whatsoever. But at this point, this stream is almost over. Is there any questions? Does anybody have any questions they would like to add to here? Definitely let me know. Like, do you have any questions about the course? What I will say too is we will also be doing some more streams. So I have more streams planned for the future. I definitely want to stream more often. I'm going to hopefully set up for, I'm thinking about once, twice a week I'd like to stream. I'm not sure exactly when yet, but I'm going to get a streaming schedule set up, which is going to be the big thing. So definitely I'm going to be putting up a streaming schedule. I'm probably going to stream probably a little earlier than this, because I know this is probably getting late for some people. So this might be a little too late for people that would like to watch a stream. But again, this is always recorded, so if you'd ever like to come back, this is always available to watch. But thank you guys so much for watching. This has been a pretty good turnout. I'm very happy with it. I am super, super stoked to launch this course. I just have been wanting to do this for so long. It is a really, really big deal for me, and I do not plan on going anywhere. I love to teach, I love Octane Render, and I love 3D, so all these things just work together perfectly. I just really enjoy sharing what I've learned with the Octane Master Course and just kind of sharing all this information out here. So I'm going to kind of finish up with kind of what does the Octane Master Course really have to offer, as opposed to just watching on YouTube. That's what I kind of want to end with. And because that's a question I kind of get a lot. They're like, this is nice, but what does it really have to offer that's something that I couldn't get somewhere else? What makes paying for it worth my time? And this is my answer to that. Is this course, for one, is made in a structured layout. If you don't know where to begin, start in the beginning. Every video is ordered in a step-by-step process. We have introduction. We talk about what Octane Render is. We talk about why you should buy it, how to download and install it, introduction to the interface, etc., etc. And you will never, ever, it will never assume that you know something that hasn't been taught before. So if you're learning about the basic material overview here, I'm never going to assume you know how to use Octane lights until you get to Octane lights. So start in the beginning and work your way through. It's a structured process that's going to build and expand on your knowledge as you expand and go through it. So it's constantly going to build and make an easy learning experience. So that's one big benefit. View it as more of like a college kind of course that you're taking that's in a structured process. Now, at the same time, if you're an advanced user and you already know all this stuff, skip ahead. It's also designed to be easy to navigate and jump right in. So if you want to learn about camera stuff, jump down to the camera topic. If there's a specific node you're stuck on, jump into that node. I talk about that topic and keep everything as best I can on that specific topic. And if I ever bump into something that you're unsure about in a video, say you skipped ahead to say the triplanar node, I mention the topics and the information that you need to learn about that. And if there's something I mention that's very particular that I don't go into much detail on, I mention the video that you need to check out. Thank you, sir. I will. It's 4 a.m. for me. Oh, man, it is getting late for you then. Bit upon. Sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. It is definitely getting late for you, so I'm going to try and definitely do much earlier streams. I'm going to keep it from being so late. No problem. I'm always ready to learn these anytime, anywhere. Man, you are dedicated. Then I don't know how good I'd be able to learn at 4 a.m. So more power to you. That's awesome to hear. But again, too, you can dive into any of these videos, get that advanced topics learned. But again, though, what more is there to this course? Am I really just getting a structured process? Is that what I'm paying for? Not at all. What you're also paying for is information that is simply not taught anywhere else. For example, this is an infinite floor object here. And what's so interesting is not many people realize that this render right here is an Octane, and it is entirely lit with an HDRI object. Now, what's interesting is a lot of you might not know, but this is actually a difficult thing to achieve if you don't know how to do it correctly. For example, we have an infinite floor here. And if you notice, we have more than just shadows on our ground. We have reflections. If I zoom in right here, we have like this blue shining onto our ground. This makes our element really composite well into our scene. Now, this is something that's almost next to impossible to do in Octane Render, at least under the old mindset. Now, I teach a new workflow in Octane Render on how to achieve just this using the multi-pass system. This is something that was once deemed impossible to achieve, which I ended up figuring out my own workflow, and this is my new default setup in using Octane. I always render everything out in the multi-pass so I can make my own infinite floor. And this is one of the things that really shows off and sells this course, because I teach you a workflow that's simply not taught anywhere else. You're getting information and teaching and content that is not available anywhere else. This is stuff that I've spent over a year learning myself. And the really big reason I feel like that this course is able to have this content is because I hit a lot of walls when I was learning Octane Render last year or this year, but I've never stopped learning Octane Render, really. I've just always constantly expanding and been growing with it. But I hit a lot of walls when learning it for the first time, and instead of bailing on it and going to other programs like Arnold or Redshift or back to the physical render, I stuck with it because there was potential in it that I saw, and for me, I'm the personality type where I don't like to give up on something. I stick with something, and I stuck with Octane. I was like, there has got to be a way to get a good-looking infinite floor in Octane, and I stuck with it until I figured it out. And once I learned a lot of these things that I was stuck on in Octane, I realized that once you figure out how to do it, it's really not that bad, and I started to really see the potential that Octane has is a production-worthy software. It is right up there with Arnold and Redshift, in my opinion, and in a lot of areas, it surpasses it because it is just friggin' gorgeous and it is fast. There is so many things that Octane Render is capable of, and I really feel like it's not given enough credit on that, so that pushed me even harder to really want to put this course out. Now, on top of just the infinite floor, I talk about a bunch of other stuff that maybe not be particularly special. But again, here's another example of that infinite floor. We have perfect reflections shining on the floor. Our scene is being lit by an HDRI environment. We have the reflections going on here. We have the lights. We have all this. But again, infinite floor. We don't see the HDRI in the reflections, just the object, just the shadows. Again, that really adds to a lot of realism in here. I also talk about having the random color node and a bunch of other topics that are already explained online, but I take them a step further and offer my own workflow. For example, subsurface scattering. This is a difficult process in Octane in the beginning, and this is taught online, but in my opinion, it's not taught that well. They teach you the buttons, but they don't actually talk about what they do. And on top of that, I want to point out too, my course is where I do more than just simply tell you what button to push. I explain why you push those buttons, and I teach workflow. I teach step-by-step process on why you push those buttons and in what order to push those buttons to give you the best artistic result. I start you in a step-by-step process where we start through A, B, C, and we work our way through, slowly tweaking each parameter to slowly dial in what we're after. This is much better than just jumping around frantically, changing each parameter, hoping to get the right process. I tell you what each parameter does, and then I tell you in what order is best to change them to get the results you want, to dial everything in. And again, this subsurface scattering workflow is another perfect example of how I've achieved these types of renders. On top of that, I talk about rendering hair, which is just something that's really not talked about much. On top of like rendering like the roots of the hairs versus the tips, so we can have different colors. So the tip of the hair is different than the base, getting different colors. Oh, I just had a question. Brother, how do you send you message on YouTube to get the code? Yeah, it isn't impossible to purchase this course right now or in a few days, but I can't get this after 2 or 3 months. Yeah, I mean, oh, typo mistake. Oh, that's okay. How to contact me on YouTube? All you have to do to contact me on YouTube is, let me see. I will actually, let me go to your channel real quick. Yeah, I'll just head to your channel, and I can should be able to send you a message on here somewhere. YouTube's always been a little weird with that. Here we go, messages, and here we go. What's this, friends? Yeah, I think they actually removed the messages area. Go ahead and, boy, let's see. YouTube used to have a messages column right on here. Man, that is really weird. Don't worry, we'll figure this out. What we'll go ahead and do is I will send you a message somewhere. How the heck do you send messages? This is very... Oh, I think I go to the About area. You know what? I will send you an email. That's what I do. I got your email off of your YouTube page, and I am going to send you an email. And that will go ahead and get you set up. So I have your email, and I'm going to go ahead and send you an email. Yep. Oh, there you go. Yeah, or add you on DC Discord. We can also do that, but I did get your email. Go to the About page, and yep, I do have your email. So I will send you the discount code on the email, and that is how you're going to get access to it. So yep, that was really good to bring up. I totally forgot that YouTube removed that messaging system, which is kind of a bummer. But thank you so much. Really do appreciate the donation, and I will definitely send you that $50 off discount code through email. So basically, again, I also teach how to render hair from the tips and the roots. Will have different color, and overall create like different colors for the overall hair, as you can see like right here. Sorry, I had to cough real quick. So that's another thing I teach in the course. Again, subsurface scattering workflows. Teach that process. Make things look believable. Make them look real. And like for food, make them actually look tasty. I also am going to teach or plan on teaching a subsurface painter workflow. So I talk about how to using Substance Painter, how to paint, really not how to paint in Substance Painter, but the workflow between getting it from Substance Painter and into Octane. I kind of talk about that full process, and I don't require you to use plugins. I teach the actual step-by-step process in doing that. Sorry, I had to cough again. And again, another thing I want to teach is making true volumetric fog. Legit volumetric fog that actually fades off and stuff disappears in the distance. This is, again, something that's just not really taught anywhere else. It's just something that's not available. There's nobody that teaches this or has this figured out, apparently. So that is something, again, that I'll be teaching that's special. Again, that infinite floor is apparent here. Tons of different multi-passing techniques. And again, I've keep forgetting to mention this, is fire. I teach how to render volumetric fire that you use with either Turbulence FD. I supply VDB files in the course. I teach you how to render this stuff and make it look good. Like, I haven't seen too many fire rendering tutorials out there, and I feel like this, what I've been able to come up with, looks really good. And I teach you how to make this exact fire explosion. I have the VDB files already set up for it. I have the Turbulence FD scene file that's included in the course where you just cache out this exact fire sim. And I teach you how to render it. Set up all the rendering parameters to get it to look just like this. The animation is included, so you can render out this whole animation if you want. Like, it's some really nice fire and smoke that got rendered out with that. So that is also another thing to grab. I talk about displacement and getting like cool things like this set up where we get like displacement, the bake texture node, so we can get like our noise to be displacement, kind of displace different objects. Using the triplanar node to kind of mix and blend materials. Refraction again, and all the different things you can do with that, and subsurface scattering and absorption, and getting all that going off there. I teach about index values and dispersion to get like little lights to kind of break up and get little rainbows kind of coming off your diamonds. Just so much stuff with that. And again, of course, working with Substance Painter and bringing that over and making it look good in Octane, so that whole export process. Again, rendering clouds, volumetric, VDBs, working with all that stuff that is all taught here. And again, the dirt node and a bunch of other stuff. So there's a ton of stuff in this course that's just literally not taught anywhere else. And again, like getting a good subsurface scattering, kind of roughness, it's a lot of workflow, basically stuff that I teach in this course that's just literally not taught anywhere else. But again, I will ramble on and on about this. This video is almost over an hour long, or it is over an hour long. So I am going to probably stop the stream now. But thank you everybody so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this stream, and look forward to more streams and more videos on my YouTube page. Feel free to subscribe, because on my YouTube page every day, or I'm going to put a total of 4 videos out this week where I go ahead and give you more free stuff. So if you want, go ahead and head to my website, check out my YouTube page, because on my YouTube page I am putting out a bunch of free content, which is out right now. So right now, we have this stream going live, of course, right now, but we have the Octane Master Course overview, and we have the Why Should You Buy Octane render video, which is like over 40 minutes long, where I do a really great breakdown and comparison of different render speeds, so Turbulence FD versus Octane render. I talk about Octane render, which is took 2.5 minutes on this one, versus Cinema 4D, which physical render took an hour. So this is the example of Cinema 4D physical taking an hour. This is here, and then this is the Octane. You can see they look just the same. Octane looks a little bit better in my opinion, and it was 24 times faster. So again, check those videos out. They're pretty cool. Compares Octane versus physical, and why you should buy it. Gives a lot of pros and cons onto that. Go to the About page. There should be an email. Oh, whoops, I'm rereading something I already read. Thank you so much again, sir, for this stream also. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much. I'm, again, very bad with names. Bitupon, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate your support, and I will get that email with the discount sent to you. So, again, thank you so much. I really hope you enjoyed this stream, and I will see you all later in the next stream or the next video. I'll be putting a bunch of more stuff out, so whichever one comes first. But, again, thank you all so much, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.